No, Shanquella Robinson was a 25-year-old hair braider out of Charlotte, North Carolina. She was extremely successful at her profession, had a thriving business. Exquisite Braids was the name of it. She was a young woman who was on the grind. She was making things happen for herself, had a loving family who supported her in her endeavors. On October 29, however, Shanquella unfortunately passed away. This is the story. On October 28, Shanquella Robinson and a group of friends decided to take a vacay out to Cabo San Lucas in Mexico. The trip was apparently supposed to serve as a celebration for someone's birthday. The group of friends reportedly stayed at Villa Linda 32, a 5-bedroom villa located in San Jose del Cabo, just 20 miles northeast of Cabo San Lucas. Shanquella's mother, Salamandra Robinson, spoke to her daughter on Friday the 28th of October, right before Shanquella was about to have dinner. Her and a group of friends she was with were about to eat, so she told her mother that she had to hang up the phone. Salamandra told Shanquella that she loved her and that she would speak to her the following day. That was unfortunately the last time Salamandra spoke to her daughter again. On the afternoon of Saturday, October 29, Shanquella was found unconscious in the living room of the residence they were staying at. The residence concierge immediately called a doctor who gave Shanquella CPR, but he couldn't revive her. 15 minutes later, at approximately 3 p.m., Shanquella Robinson was pronounced dead. On that Saturday evening of October 29, Shanquella's mother received a phone call from the friends she was traveling with, and they delivered her the news no mother is prepared to receive. Her baby girl had just died unexpectedly. According to Shanquella's friends, she allegedly died from alcohol poisoning, and as far as her family knew, that was the story. Shanquella's family stated that the friends she was traveling with were all telling conflicting stories, however. They got the word that their loved one had passed away from an apparent alcohol poisoning. On top of that, since they were all telling different stories and the whole situation regarding Shanquella's death had become extremely convoluted, they felt like something was not right, and they were right. Something was not right. Later on that week, on Thursday, November 3rd, Shanquella's family received a phone call that confirmed their suspicions. She did not in fact die from alcohol poisoning. Mexican officials contacted Shanquella's family and delivered them the autopsy results. Her death had nothing to do with alcohol poisoning, according to her mother. According to the autopsy results, Shanquella died from blunt force trauma to her neck and spine. The autopsy results also stated that she was found unconscious in the living room and died within 15 minutes of her injuries. Between the time when Shanquella died and the post-mortem report getting delivered, a video surfaced on social media, which I will not play. It made me fucking sick to my stomach. The video was of Shanquella and someone from the friend group getting into it. They were fighting. Actually, more like Shanquella was getting beat on, in other words, physically assaulted by one of her so-called friends, as her other so-called friends were watching this entire thing go down like a fucking movie. This entire thing was caught on tape, so someone from that friend group was recording Shanquella getting beat on. The fact that someone was recording right before the beating went down makes me strongly believe this was a planned attack. On top of someone pulling out their camera and recording this assault against Shanquella Robinson, several of her so-called friends were not only watching this entire thing go down, they also, number one, egged on this assault against her, and number two, made remarks about why she wasn't fighting back. That's right, Shanquella wasn't fighting back. She at one point even refused by saying no as a response to a man in the background, one of the so-called friends, saying, "Can you at least fight back?" As a side note, Shanquella was completely naked during this assault against her.
Quilla, can you at least fight back? No. At least.
So her bitch-ass friends not only lied to her parents about the cause of their daughter's death, all of them also told a bunch of conflicting, contradicting, inconsistent, and incongruent stories of what happened to their late daughter. They were all also in the same room as Shanquella was getting beat on by one of them, recording with their phones, encouraging this assault on this poor woman who's now dead. Right now, as we speak, there should be an arrest warrant for all these people who were on that trip along with Shanquella Robinson. None of these people should be walking free in these streets right now. They should all be considered dangerous, and the probability of them being involved in the death of Shanquella Robinson is extremely high. So Your Honor, please put all these people in a cold interrogation room, separate all of them from each other. Any contact between everyone in this friend group should cease to exist right now so they can't get their story straight. The fact that these people lied to Shanquella's family should alone qualify them as suspects for the homicide of Shanquella Robinson. The fact that everyone in this friend group, except for one person who was assaulting the poor woman, was watching her get beat on, and the fact that the autopsy results completely contradicts the story they told her family should have all these people in cuffs as we speak. The fact that we haven't gotten there makes me very upset. The fact that these people are walking free right now makes me very upset. The fact that a lot of the major news platforms haven't covered this story yet also makes me upset. I really hate to do this because I don't like making stories like this about race. I'm not an agent of division. Mainstream media tends to be very good at that. Pay attention. But I do have to make this one observation. A lot of the stories involving black women missing, getting killed, getting abducted, they tend to not gain a lot of traction and or attention from the media. When or if they do, there's usually not a lot of follow-ups on these stories. Stories like these involving black women are usually only covered by the media when they feel forced to do it. Essentially, the news outlets get bombarded with requests to cover them, and so they don't do it out of genuine concern. They do it out of obligation. I noticed on this particular story regarding Shanquella, a lot of the big news outlets only started covering it only after social media made so much noise to the point where you couldn't ignore it. Minority women in general face the same issue, absolutely 1000%. I hear so many stories of minority women disappearing, getting abducted, getting murdered, but those stories never seem to get as much attention in the media as, for example, if it involved a Caucasian woman being the victim. I am actually thinking about a specific story that went down last year. You may know which one I'm talking about. I want to preface by saying, may that young woman's soul rest eternally, okay? I really mean that. It's just an observation which seems to be accurate. But the Gabby Petito story is the one I'm talking about. Very sad what happened to that young woman. I sympathize with her family because that's horrible. But I did notice that the coverage on that story was instantaneous, grand, a lot of follow-ups, and a lot of attention was shined on her story, which I'm not mad about. What I'm saying is I'd like to see the same energy and attention being given to black women and just minority women as well, since at the end of the day, no matter what way you look at it, these are all women, regardless of their race, having horrible things done to them. This is the kind of story that should be global, but it's unfortunately not yet. Now, at an event where someone passes away on foreign soil, that obviously means that the country they had citizenship in this case, that would be America for Shanquella, the United States doesn't have a lot of sway on speeding up the process of this case because their citizen died in another country, and that country is a sovereign country. It's a sovereign entity. Mexico is its own country. There's laws in Mexico that completely differs from the laws in the United States, and since it happened on their soil, the Mexican authorities are the ones handling this case until or if they decide to hand it over to the feds. That's why I think this case might be going on for a little while, and that does explain why Shanquella's so-called hoe-ass friends aren't behind bars right now. It looks like the Mexican authorities won't be handling this case for very long though. The federales, feds, FBI, have reportedly opened an investigation into Shanquella Robinson's death, and that makes me smile. Shanquella Robinson may be gone, but I think this woman deserves some justice. I look at this story and I say, her friends are definitely involved in this. Given all the information we have, nothing else would suggest otherwise. Is it really shocking though? I mean, this was a young woman who was clearly on her way to do great things. I mean, she had a thriving business, she was beautiful, intelligent. That's gonna rub a lot of people the wrong way, especially her so-called friends who probably envied her, who probably resented her, and didn't like the fact that she was ahead while they were behind. So instead of using her success as fuel to create a better life for themselves, they envied her so much to the point where I believe they set her up because her light was shining so bright to the point where they felt like it dimmed theirs. Don't get it twisted, that's very common. A lot of the people you call friends, they're waiting for you to slip up so they can feel better about all the shit that they lack in their life. And a lot of times you could be doing phenomenal thinking that everybody around you is happy for your success and is rooting for you. Little do you know, the whole time they've been praying for you to fall off the wagon, and the second you do, that's when your friend, your friend shows you what they really think about you. You might hear a story like this and think, this is never gonna happen to me. Never say never, you don't know. But what I do know is that a lot of people are listening to this. You got some chameleons around you, some lethal chameleons for that matter. What I'm saying is don't let those chameleons be the source of your downfall. That little rant aside, sorry for that, I just had to speak my mind. Rest in peace to Shanquella Robinson. This young woman had her whole life in front of her and she died so horribly, and it's sad, it's sickening. May her soul rest eternally, and I hope the people who are responsible for this get held liable. They deserve prison time, no question, and to her family, I hope you guys don't stop pursuing this. Please don't lose hope. Make as much noise as you can so your daughter's death wasn't in vain. I'm out.